Hi, my name is Tracy Dewart. I'm going to talk to you about naturalistic intervention. It's for Sped 800. This is Module 8. I would like to start out by explaining what naturalistic intervention is. I believe that it is a collection of practices, including environmental arrangements, interaction techniques, and strategies based on applied behavior analysis principles. These practices, they're designed to encourage specific target behaviors based on each individual's interest by completing complex skills which are naturally reinforcing. And it also it occurs within typical settings, activities, and or routines in which the individual participates. So it's things that they do. With naturalistic interventions, I decided to go more in depth and talk about incidental teaching. And what incidental teaching is it is a naturalistic method that creates opportunities for children to learn new language skills on the move. So they can be at the grocery store, they can be at home during playtime, they can be in the daycare or any classroom environment where they can interact with kids on the spectrum or kids that are not on the spectrum. As far as the learning area, it tends to be more relaxed setting, and it's on the student's own terms. It's initiation done by the student, so it's definitely on the student's terms. Pre-academic skills, the colors, sizes, shapes, they can all be taught to children with ASD in typical settings with daily routines. Incidental teaching is really just a way to use your child's interest to encourage her to say or do something. What you need to remember is, one, you need to take turns interacting with the individual when he or she is interested in something, and to keep it fun. I mean, learning is much easier to do when it's fun doing it and the kids are having fun. Everything's a lot more interesting, and the drive to do something when it's fun. Data collection and evaluation methods. Some examples of simple data collection procedures, and I went the simple route first. I find that, as a teacher, with the amount of kids that I have, if I can find the easiest and the most productive way to gather data, then that's the way that I'm going to go for. So one way could be wrapping paper around your wrist so that you can write, tally your data as you move about the room, the teaching space, and you're not carrying those data collection sheets everywhere on the clipboard. I think you could also be doing it with rubber bands on your wrist as well. Then again, if you need to use those data collection sheets, make sure that they are everywhere. Wherever the student goes, that's where they need to be, so that anybody that's in that classroom working with that student knows it, can find a collection sheet and write that data down. If you're gathering data from multiple students, you can do it using address labels. So, like the sticker type, you can later be peeled off and put on individual students' data sheets. So if you're, taking data from multiple kids, it's easier, to have those little stickers that you just write the data on, and then when the data is done for that day, you just take the sticker off, you go over and you put it on the sheet. This will help, avoid having to shuffle through all the multiple data sheets that you can have by doing data on multiple students. It's a lot easier to interact with the classroom of students when you have one paper and you're writing on these little stickers, and then once you're done, you just go and take the stickers and put them on the students' data sheets. Now, you can also use Excel program to make more elaborate data collection spreadsheets or tables, or you can use that spreadsheet data collection to just house your data that you collect. And like I said earlier, use what's the easiest. Cheapest and easiest is always the route that I try to go. Some overview of research supporting the effectiveness. Naturalistic intervention meets evidence-based criteria with 10 single case design studies. All studies found that naturalistic intervention is an effective teaching method. And I found this information from the book Evidence-Based Practices for Children, Youth, and Young Adults with Autism Spectrum Disorder. In these evidence-based studies, it showed that the intervention is effective for toddlers, which 0 to 2 years, all the way up to elementary school age learners, so 6 to 11 years old, on the autism spectrum. My student population in the classroom that I teach is from ages 14 to 21. I believe that, this incidental teaching method will also work on them. They do, however, function around a 3rd grade level. So, they're in that elementary school age learner, but they're at a older body. I still think that it would work for older students as well. You just may have to be more creative. I put on my slideshow 2 demonstrations. I wanted to show one that I found when I was searching for incidental teaching, and then in the next slide you'll notice that I put it is my personal video that I made using incidental teaching. Some steps to incidental teaching: watch and listen, and then you engage, you wait for the student's response, you support the student, and then you confirm. So in this video, it shows the mom talking to the little boy about washing his hands, and it goes through the steps. She watches and she listens, then she engages, she waits for his response, then she gives him support, and then she confirms again that what he is doing is correct. In the video clip of my incidental teaching, the steps that I go through are: I watch and I listen. I'm watching and listening for the student to say refrigerator. I engage. I engage when the student doesn't say refrigerator. They're looking around where, as to where they should put it. And I say, where does the milk go? And then I wait. I wait to see and hear if my student points to the refrigerator or if they verbally say refrigerator. I support. I ask the student to say refrigerator. When the student says refrigerator, I open the door. And then I also confirm as I'm opening the door and the student's putting the gallon of milk into the refrigerator. I'm confirming with the student that yes, the milk does go in the refrigerator. And then at the end, I give verbal and gestural praise. I'm a big believer of giving verbal along with gestural praise. I feel that it works best with my students. And so, incidental teaching has definitely been something that, can be used across all areas of learning, and it can be used for all ages of learning. And then the last slide is my resources of where I found all of my information. I have enjoyed learning about naturalistic intervention and incidental teaching, and it's almost like something that I knew that I did, but now I'm giving it a name. I use it a lot with my 4-year-old twins, as far as learning new skills. So it's definitely something that, most parents use when they're teaching their children. So to carry it over to the classroom and use it with my students in the classroom, I think is really neat. And I'm going to, try to use it more, try to keep more data so that I see how the kids' response is with the incidental teaching. I greatly appreciate your time, and thank you so much for letting me talk about incidental teaching in the naturalistic intervention.